Hello, everyone, and welcome to another contributing author interview for the Your Voice, Your Choice multi-authored book project. We are so excited to be able to interview Pat. My name is Rachel Freemon Sowers, and I am one of the co-creators of this project along with Shauna, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, y'all. It's Shauna Beatty from Nanaimo, British Columbia. And yes, working with Rachel on this very proud project that we're going to be launching soon and inviting my wonderful friend, Pat Love. And I'll let Pat introduce herself.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Pat Love. I'm from North Vancouver, British Columbia, and I'm a realtor and the mother of two adults with disabilities. And I'm looking forward to this interview.
Yeah, well, before we started this interview, we were dealing with some tech issues, and Pat and I were like, oh, we really want to have the three of us on the screen because just like in a multi-authored book, each person that contributes to the book creates and gives a different type of energy and a different type of story that it can inspire so many people. And we're so grateful to have you as a contributing author in this book, Pat. The first question I want to ask you is what made you want to contribute to this project?
Well, firstly, shall I say Shauna wanted me made me want to contribute to this project because we
Beautiful.
have collaborated before and that's how we met and we became fast besties and I really would do anything for her. And I think that well, within reason. And I think the last experience was really fun and I think this one will be too.
What made you decide to tell us your story? And this book is not only just there's some business aspects to some of the stories that are in the book, but this is a very personal kind of approach of transformation. What said, hey, I have a story of transformation to tell? What was that for you?
Well, as I mentioned before, I'm the mother of two adults with disabilities, and I've had to spend the last 26 years adapting my life
Mm.
to fit what they need, as well as continuing to give me what I need. And that has sort of been the story. And I think uh, back when I got the diagnosis, there was not Facebook, there was no way to connect with people. And so the supports I found were within my business at the time, which was working as a hairstylist. I was able to, have, besides give therapy, which we always do, I was able to get some therapy from my customer base. And I look at the moms I know who went through that at the same time, and they didn't have the same experience I did. I was very lucky. So I think through sharing some of my story, it might help other people.
Well, I know, and then Sean, I'll let you chime in, but I know that this story will reach people because after being a therapist for the last 25 years and specifically working with children over 15 years of my career as a therapist, it is as essential for the caregivers, moms, dads, whatever, whoever's caring for children with autism or Asperger's. The support is huge and is needed so much because if you're not caring for yourself, it's really hard to be able to care and keep giving to the people that you love, i.e., your children, right?
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Shauna, what do you have to add to that? Because I can see your thoughts going.
I really, I know so many things went through my head just now, but I've known Pat, I think, the better part of 3 years. You had mentioned we worked on the collaboration where I was employed as a ghostwriter to work with numerous real estate agents, and Pat's story really resonated with me. Other than a local girl, like go Canucks. Um, it was an international book, so I met a lot of people throughout the course of this, and I wanted to circle back to Pat because we've known each other, become friends. We hop on the ferry and go visit each other for lunch and stuff. And I said, Pat, your story is amazing. It can be expanded. We can retweak it, we can update it. But maybe you want to go a little bit more personal, into this, um, and expand a little bit on that in terms of, we talk a lot about reinvention in our book, and I almost feel like some of us reinvent ourselves almost every day. And I don't think Pat's an exception on this. And I've met her sons, and they're remarkable human beings that just, needs TLC that Pat and her husband have given them throughout the years. So it's really personal. It was a no brainer for me to reach out and say, "Hey, Pat, what do you think of this?" And I don't think you spent too much time thinking about it, because here we are, and looking forward to, obviously working with you again at this level. So thank you for entrusting Rachel and I again to, put your heart on your sleeve. Literally, that's what we're asking of people, and they're stepping up. So yeah, that's my.
Well, thanks so much. I feel like we really are. I love how you said that. We're really asking them to put their heart on their sleeves. And so many times throughout life, we're taught to put that away. Like, get your heart off your sleeve. Don't be so sensitive. Don't be so whatever. I'm wondering how, or Pat, if in you telling this more personalized version of this story, do you have any reservations, any fears, any like things that are like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure what's going to happen when I put this out there?
No, not really. I've always been probably too much upfront about my situation. I know that a
Mm,
few people have said, "Oh, why do you tell people that? Why do you why do you
mm,
share so much?" But I think it's important that people know where you come from, and
mhm.
you have to help everybody because that world is lonely. And as Shauna said, the last book we did was all basically about real estate, and I talked about it, a lot of the underlying reasons I did all of those things come back to, my kids and how we struggled. So I think it's important, and I don't mind doing it. There's people, like I said, back in the day, don't uh, don't let your neighbors go about the skeletons and what goes on behind closed doors, and that sounds kind of obscene. I say it
But
now,
so
but
true
that
and
was how my
real.
yeah. hmm hmm But
I
I'm not
mean,
like that, so
yeah.
I'm not frightened. No,
Well,
no
I
reservation.
love that answer, and I love too how you brought up there has been such I don't know how old you are, but I'm 51, and we did keep things under wrap. You did make sure that you didn't let people see the things that were actually happening. And the whole purpose of this book is to help people see what's happening, so then you don't feel like you don't have anyone or no one can relate to you. I mean, Sean and I are creating this book simply because we need to see other people. We need to see ourselves in other people,
Yeah.
right? What are, I don't know, let's just say one to two things you're hoping that when this book is published, because it's going to be published and that's really exciting. When this book is published, what are you hoping people get from your story, whether or not they have children that are on the spectrum or diagnosed with autism or Asperger's? Like, what are you hoping they get?
Well, perspective that it's not the end of the world. Things are not, when things happen, it's not the end of the world. And I think we talked about in the first book, adapting, constantly adapting. And I think with everybody, no matter how perfect their life is, at one point, they will go through, whether they have aging parents and they get dementia or any number of things. I don't think any of us go through this world unscathed and don't have things happen. And I think you do have to find um, help from other people's journey, and that's what I hope to get or give out of my
Well,
story.
yeah, I have no doubt that will happen like tenfold, if not more so. And Sean, I'm wondering if you have any other things that you want to ask Pat before we close up the interview.
It's something that I was thinking about recently, Pat, is, I don't know if I've asked you this question, but if I have, well, you can answer it. Basically, you know, people start off their lives and they think it's one direction. You start a family with your husband, and realizing that, okay, well, it's going to go in a very different direction than I envisioned. And did you make a conscious decision then to go, okay, I need to build my career around my family versus the other way around, right? Many of us are go like, you guys just figure it out. I'm going to go over here and build my career. But you didn't have that luxury, right? You didn't have that luxury. So at what point, I guess, was it a conscious decision to say, hey, I'm going to continue being a hairdresser because you've got your flexibility at home, and be a real estate agent because you do have, you create that flexibility within your job. So, what point was it a conscious decision for you?
I don't know that it was ever a conscious decision. I think, sort of bob and weave and handle it however it works. Often, and I'll just, try to say this briefly. Now that my kids are adults, I often read stories of parents who've actually had to quit their 9 to 5 job because once the kids become adults, the government no longer steps in and supports. And I think that whether it was maybe, I think when they were getting out of school to change my real estate direction, which is why I got involved in what we did before, because I wanted to try to take my life back a bit and not be so controlled by adapting to their situation. But now I hear all of these parents having to leave their 9 to 5s. And I'd like to, show people that maybe there's something else they can do so that they don't have to go on welfare themselves because they've had to stay home and look after their adults with disabilities. So I think, yeah, conscious decision. I would love to have said it was a conscious decision, but I think it was a insane decision, shall we say, without too much thought. Just how will this work today?
Well, and it's kind of that survival, right? It's like, okay, let's get through another day. And I love that you brought up the fact that when they become adults, the parents are having to quit their 9 to 5 here in the United States, because I can only speak in the United States and my experiences with working as a licensed marriage family therapist. If the child doesn't score a certain amount, then you don't receive the services, but it doesn't mean you don't need services. It doesn't mean that when they're adults, you still don't need help, but once they turn 18, they're their own thing. And like all of that stuff can be so, I don't know. I don't want to say demeaning, but what's the word I'm looking for? It can be heaviness on like, how am I going to help my child live a life? And then where's mine in it at the same time? Where's my life? Right? Because
the kids feel that too, when I call them kids, but they feel that, and you try to hide that. Like they'll say, I'm sorry. My oldest one will say, sorry, I'm getting on your nerves today, and then you feel bad. Then you feel like, oh, I didn't hide that well enough, and it's hard. And if people are going through financial struggles because of it, how is that affecting those people who cannot help themselves?
I feel like this is such a bigger topic than even what we have time for here. I mean, my heart is just like, oh, now I need to have you on the road to radical visibility, because there are so many people that will be able to relate, to you and your story. And I'm just so glad that you decided to join us in this Your Voice, Your Choice multi-authored book project, talking about how, you've gone through several transformations in, and I want to say a short period of time, but what may not seem like a short period of time, but it's only a short period of time, right? Shauna, do you have anything that you want to add before we wrap up today?
Just I don't know. It comes to mind, and this may or may not come out in the book, Pat. But Pat's oldest son, Bobby, he's an actor in Canada, and he's got an amazing support from Pat and your husband, to go so far out of yourselves to support his career, and it's just, I follow it on Facebook. Of course, we talk about it all the time, but just, yeah, that whole thing. And I'm waiting for the story of managing it all and still putting your boys where they need to be. And I'll tell you, Pat, like, kudos to you in supporting them, because a lot of parents, unfortunately, would not go to that level, and you guys do. So I applaud that. I applaud you. And it'll be out in print in a few months, and more people will be applauding.
And empowered and encouraged by it. Right.
Well, that is the hope.
Well, it will happen. I mean, Shauna and I approached this project from the very beginning, knowing that this book is going to impact so many different kinds of people, and the diversity and the inclusion we have in this book is going to be something that will carry on for a really long time. And the stories, when we share our stories, people absolutely benefit from that. So we're all about talk about it all the time, share all the time. We're not about, withholding anything. But again, I want to thank you so much for being a contributing author to the Your Voice, Your Choice multi-authored book project. We can't wait for your story to be out in print. And until then, for all of you out in the audience, if you're interested or have questions for Pat, feel free to reach out to myself or Shauna, and we'd be more than happy to put you in contact with her. But you can also read her story in a few short months. Okay, my friends, thank you very much for tuning in to this contributing author video, and we can't wait to see you later on. All right, bye.
Thank you.